Need tools? We've got you covered. Go to ChromebookParts.com or click on the link below to pick up this sleek, portable toolkit. Flip the unit over and unscrew 8 captive screws from the bottom cover. Gently insert the opener pick between the bottom cover and the palm rest and slide along the edges to pop the bottom cover free. Peel back the tape and unplug the battery from the motherboard. Remove 4 3mm screws from the battery. Peel back the tape and unplug the LCD cable from the motherboard. Peel back the tape and unplug the DC jack from the motherboard. Flip open the locking clip and unplug the backlight cable from the motherboard. Flip open the locking clip and unplug the palm rest cable from the motherboard. Flip open the locking clip and unplug the trackpad cable from the motherboard. Flip open the locking clip and unplug the first daughterboard cable from the motherboard. Unplug the speakers from the motherboard. Peel back the tape, flip open the locking clip, and unplug the second daughterboard cable from the motherboard. Unplug the fan from the motherboard. Remove 1 3mm screw from the SSD. Unplug the SSD from the motherboard. Remove 1 3mm screw from the Wi-Fi card. And unplug the Wi-Fi card from the motherboard. Remove the following screws from the motherboard. Peel back the tape to get the Wi-Fi cables free from the fan. Lift up the hinge and gently lift up and pull back on the motherboard, taking care not to bend or damage the ports. Push back the locking clips and unplug the RAM from the motherboard. Unscrew 4 captive screws from the heatsink. Remove the heatsink. And using a 99% isopropyl alcohol solution, clean the thermal paste off the heatsink. Do the same for your new motherboard if it has any thermal paste on it. Apply a small dab of thermal paste onto the motherboard. Replace the heatsink, and tighten the 4 captive screws. Plug the RAM back into the motherboard. Replace the motherboard back into its port slots, and be sure to get all the cables out from underneath. Lower the hinge. Replace the bracket. And replace the following screws back into the motherboard. Plug the LCD cable back into the motherboard. Plug the DC jack back into the motherboard. Plug the backlight back into the motherboard. Plug the palm rest back into the motherboard. Plug the trackpad back into the motherboard. Plug the first daughterboard cable back into the motherboard. Plug the speakers back into the motherboard. Plug the fan back into the motherboard. And plug the second daughterboard cable back into the motherboard. Plug the Wi-Fi card back into the motherboard. Replace the bracket and replace the one 3mm screw. Plug the SSD back into the motherboard and replace the one 3mm screw. Slide the battery back into place. And replace the four 3mm screws. Plug the battery back into the motherboard. Replace the bottom cover and push down to snap it back into place. Tighten the 8 captive screws in the bottom cover.